Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. And since we are near the end of the year, once again, it's time to do the top 10 entertainment moments of now 2025. Now, like previous years, it will be a top 10 of not only just movies, but also TV shows, video games. And as we saw last year, I started throwing in music videos. And we got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. So, at number 10, we have the elevator scene from Thunderbolts. Now, this was such a great movie, and in my opinion, the best Marvel film this year, which many would say isn't saying a lot because this was kind of a weak year, I guess you could say, for Marvel. But to get a bunch of kind of lesser known, side characters, I mean, Bucky is pretty well established, and Yelena's becoming more into her own. But to get all these characters put together for like a team and make it like a good film is an achievement in and of itself. But the fact that we had such a funny scene, which is, most of the cast trying to escape out of being tricked to try to, kill each other from that bunker, and seeing how all their powers are kind of similar, really. They punch really hard, they jump high and stuff. And, and so that scene where they're trying to climb up the elevator and the banter and them trying not to fall and just there's just so much there, and I just thought that was a fun scene to add on the list, but I thought it was great. At number 9, we have the final boss fight from Split Fiction. Again, I mentioned this in the game review itself, but that fight was so incredible, I just had to mention it here on this list because the different textures and different worlds that we played throughout the game being meshed simultaneously while you're trying to fight, and you and your buddy are teaming up trying to defeat this guy, and like just how that was created and what they were able to accomplish blew me away, and it still blows me away because it was so well done. But also in terms of story and actual like fighting him with the different abilities and stuff, I just thought the whole thing was fantastic. At number 8, we have Superman's speech to Lex Luthor at the end of Superman 2025. Now, this, I thought, again, another great scene from a great superhero film this year, and the reason why I picked this scene is because, I don't know, man, it just really got to me, because seeing everything that, Superman goes through in the film and seeing how really horrible Lex is, which he always is, but truly a great performance from Nicholas Hoult and, David Cornsweet as Superman, obviously. But seeing their banter, like, in them, how they interact off each other, they both did a great job. But Superman's speech really symbolizes, I feel, why Superman, is so beloved in a lot of ways, and how he really is the symbol of, like, hope and, justice, and, so optimistic. And that's that speech, and you can tell, I noticed a lot of people saw that the light was shining through the window, which is, he gets like healed in a lot of ways, and he becomes more healthy and stuff by getting exposed to, Earth's sun. And so seeing like that visual as well, along with his speech and playing the uplifting music, and being like he won in the end, I thought it was just a great scene. At number 7, we have the A Little Bit Bad music video from Kitten Sneeze. Okay, this, like I mentioned, a music video like last year with the Drake Bell one, but here, like, this person, I know they've been around for a bit now, and I remember last year one of their videos really popped off where they did Loser Baby with Jackson Pomney, and I gotta say, like, this video is also great. They've done a couple other songs that I've noticed, and one that you may or may not see on the honorable mention list. But this one I thought was great, and why it got the edge to be on the list was not only was it a good song in its own right, but it did something original. For example, it did something new with the Digital Circus theme, not just, a song singing of the characters. They created their own versions of, Jax and Pomni, being Pox and Jammy, different personalities of the characters we actually know from the show, with new designs. And I believe this was the person's first official like animated video, not just stills or just art designs. And I thought like all those little things really added to making this such a fun video to listen to on repeat, because it is a really good song. At number 6, we have Zenitsu vs. Kaigaku from Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Now, again, something from this film had to make the list. It was such an insane film to watch. The experience watching it with my friend was incredible, and everything about the film was great. But I had to pick this scene because there may have been more, like in terms of story or in terms of grand scope, there may have been bigger moments in the film that people will still talk about. But I won't forget that experience of watching Zenitsu, who everyone adores and really loves that character. Seeing him like so enraged and so angry fighting his once peer, and how they were both trained by the same, Gramps, and seeing him betray and defect to become a demon, and obviously what happened with Gramps after, and just the whole like shock, and just how everything played out, because the fight isn't particularly long. It's probably, I think, the shortest fight of the three in the film, but just how everything went down, the dialogue between them, a bit of the backstory on how he became the demon, Zenitsu locking in and just going town and them fighting. I just thought the whole thing was just so good, and it was such a great fight in this already great film. At number 5, we have John Kreese and Johnny Lawrence emotional moment from Cobra Kai, the final season. Again, I also had to have someone from Cobra Kai because this literally was one of my favorite shows for like a hot minute there, and I still think it is one of my favorite shows, but it had a streak of, in my opinion, like 4 seasons being 10 out of 10. And that moment, like, I really thought that the Johnny Lawrence actor, like William, he should have probably won an award, because the raw emotion and just weight of his performance, saying how he felt after all those years of being so angry and so like resentful and just so beat down by everything, finally being able to confront who we all know is like the main man who did all this to him, and learning over the show that Kreese in his own way cared about Johnny, and just seeing them embrace after like all that buildup, and them finally reconciling and saying he's sorry, and just the whole scene, like the music playing, the words spoken. It was just such an incredible scene. It really was. Probably one of the best in the whole show, or in the whole Cobra like Kai Karate Kid type franchise, because it was so good. At number 4, we have Pomni and Jack's fight from The Amazing Digital Circus, episode 6. Oh yes, this was the big one, because the episode seemed like it was gonna be such fun, but we should have known like this was where things were going to start to go downhill in terms of like what is happening in this show, where you have, it's literally called They All Get Guns, and it's so silly, and they're all teaming up just trying to shoot each other, and you have Pomni and Jax that seem to be getting along, they seem to be having such fun, but near the end you could tell something's not right with Jax, and then he starts pushing Pomni away and becoming such a jerk and just acting like such an ass. And Pomni's trying to like get to the bottom of like why is he doing this, and Jax is putting on this facade like he doesn't really care about her and stuff, and they get to like a blow where they start fighting. Well, it's mainly her trying to fight him to be like, why aren't you fighting back if you don't like me then, if you don't care about me? And it goes into this insane monologue of like him just yelling down at her, and you could tell he really cares, especially the final moment where he looks so defeated in his face when he walks away, and her just in like disbelief, like in just shock. The whole scene, the performances from both Michael Kovac and Lizzie Freeman, like the whole animation, everything in the scene was just fantastic, and it had to get a spot on the list. At number 3, we have Joe and Eva's emotional moment after the immunity challenge from Survivor 48. Again, a Survivor moment, as the tradition at this point, had to make the list. And what better moment than arguably the biggest moment in the new era? Like, arguably. I know a lot of people trash on this season and say, this was so boring, we're tired of these characters, we're tired of Joe and Eva, the strong fight, blah, 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 blah. But this episode really got a lot more people talking about Survivor. It got it a bunch of nominations. It got them on the award circuit. They replayed the episode, which I heard was huge, because they never replayed the episode like the week of, like multiple times. And just seeing, Eva, because she struggles, with autism, and she, just seeing her story play out and how you could really see she was really struggling. It was really tough to watch, but her succeed at the challenge, but yet still going through those emotions and just not being able to calm down, and Joe knowing what's going on because she trusted him, and them just comforting each other. And it was just such a sweet moment that even when Jeff Probst started choking up, I was like, oh, whoa. And I was like, this scene's definitely an all-timer, because it even got Jeff shocked. It was such a beautiful scene. It was really sad, but also kind of uplifting to see everyone come, together, especially Joe, like just looking out for Eva. And they never betrayed each other. They went all the way to final 3 together, which I thought was really sweet, and really, especially in a show like this, it was really nice. At number 2, and before I say it, let's just say number 2 and number 1 were so tough to place, because I adore both so much, and I flip-flopped on them a lot, but I feel really confident that these will stand and, the test of time, in my opinion. So number 2 is kind of a cheat, but we have Husk's reaction to Angel's performance, and then their talk afterwards from Hazbin Hotel Season 2, Episode 6. Again, where do I begin? This scene did so much for me as a fan of the ship Husker Dust, especially seeing how much, like, Husk obviously was so down and out and just really feeling sorry for himself and stuff. So you had that whole montage of him indulging in his, addiction, which is alcoholism, and him singing a song about it and all. And you see he's like at his lowest, he's just there chilling. And then he's like, oh yeah, who's performing? And he sees it's none other than Angel, who is the person he felt like he's connected with the most at the hotel. And you see him blushing in shock. Angel performing, finally doing a job where he looks like he's actually happy to be doing and not being treated horribly. And it's just seeing that, and then their talk after, where they, talk about, about what they've, feel and what they are, how they've experienced, about the redemption stuff. And when, Angel has to go after ending their talk, he's like, I'll see you at the hotel, which, as we know, sadly, he won't. And Husk is like, you won't see me back. And Angel's like, yeah, I will, playful banter like they usually do. And when he leaves, they really honed in on Husk, chuckling. You see he's still blushing, like, so he can't, you can't deny he really loves him. And it's just seeing that. And then even after, when he's, back at the hotel with, like, where's Angel, he's still blushing. It's insane that we saw that much from the guy who, quote, lost the ability to love years ago, as he said in the pilot. It's just, what a development. It was just so great. And of course, that doesn't even talk about the art style and the animation, all that. And the song itself, I thought, was just fantastic. Everything about the scene is literally peak perfection. It was just fantastic. I can't stop gushing about it. It was so good. And now we have a bunch of honorable mentions, so let's just jump right into them. Honorable mention number 1 is Will saving basically everyone from the Demogorgons in Stranger Things 5. Now, there's a lot of Stranger Things that is still coming out, and the final episode hasn't released as of recording this, but I had to at least pick something from Stranger Things because it's Stranger Things, so I picked this to put as an honorable mention. And the music, the shock of, like, seeing Will actually do this with the powers, and just the holy crapness of it all, it was this insane scene that I still rewatch sometimes. I was just shocked. Honorable mention number 2, Angel leaves and Husk reaction. Now, obviously, I had to put this on the list because, it's an important moment for them, and it leads into what will happen in season 3, obviously, because it's their last interaction of the season. But seeing, how emotional, especially, like, seeing how Husk is so I've never seen him look like that, and seeing Angel really sad because he's going back because he feels like he can't trust himself after, what we learned happened with him about being used as a spy and all. And Husk, like, is like, we can protect you, we can help you. And Angel's like, no, you can't be around me and stuff. And it was just such an emotional gut punch because everyone felt like they got a happy ending, even the bad guys who caused all this, except this dude who gets to go back to being abused and assaulted for till season 3. It gets me so angry thinking about it, but it's also really sad because I really like these characters. And it was just such it's a great scene because the voice acting's great, the animation, the music, it gets me emotional just thinking about it. But the whole thing is just like, wow. Honorable mention number 3, Pomni makes an incredible shot from the Amazing Digital Circus episode 6. Now, I had to definitely throw a little gag moment from Digital Circus on the honorable mentions because this scene was so fun to watch because it's kind of playing that great, like intense type music, and just like Pomni looking at where the person, like Zubral's running towards, and she looks at the gun, she's like, can I make this? One shot, I can totally make this. And then gets the crazy look, and then makes this ricochet shot, and it shows all the craziness. And even Zubral's like, this is bullshit. And the whole thing was so much fun. I just had to put it. It was such a fun gag scene. Honorable mention number 4, Fight Till You're Good Enough from Glitch and, Living Tombstone. Again, this was Murder Drones this time music video. And it was basically, I guess, as a thank you for the fans of Murder Drones, and they were able to get Living Tombstone to do a song with, the voice actors of, En and Uzi to come back and have like a little fully animated, video of Murder Drones. I guess it's canon. It takes place after the episode when the show ended, and it's just kind of like a little fun adventure thing on, Sin, who's, the tail on Uzi now, that little robot, doing a little zombie prank, and just them fighting. But it also has some story beats, with N wanting to protect Uzi and just, them trying to fend it off. Like, the whole thing was just really cute and just a nice video. Honorable mention number 5, I Lost My Mind from Moro and Silverhound. Again, another great fan song, mainly from Digital Circus. There's like a lot of them this year, it feels like. And I thought that, for one, Moro with the animation, because they did a fantastic job with how creepy and unsettling, but also colorful it looks. And then Silverhound, who is well established as being a great musical artist, as we know on YouTube, with a bunch of their songs that they've done over the years. And I just thought, getting Lizzie Freeman and Michael Kovac, Jackson Pomni in here the same, just was like the icing on top of the cake. It was just great. Honorable mention number 6, Abstraction from Kid 'n Sneeze. Again, another one right here. Another Digital Circus song, and another one from Kid 'n Sneeze. This was the one that I gave a little reference to earlier in the video, because I thought this was fantastic, and I really enjoyed. And of course, you had, Kid 'n Sneeze, I believe, does the Pomni voice here, but they were able to get Ragatha actress and the Jax actor to come back and do it. The creepy, unsettling tone of the song, the different beats with the trombone and that type of music playing as well from the NPC characters. I just thought the whole song was just great. Honorable mention number 7, Invincible versus Conquest, the final part of the fight. And again, we had to get an Invincible scene on here somehow, and this part in particular, especially like the iconic, like cold, like dialogue where Mark was so enraged at it looked like Eve, was killed, and Conquest was just talking that shit, and he was like threatening. He's like, I will kill you, and I was just like, whoa, and just them going at it, as you see in that picture I showed, them punching and just going off, and Mark finally like wins a fight by just headbutting him so much at the end. The whole thing was just insane to watch. It was such a good moment from the season, like so good. And that's not even to mention the great voice acting from Jeffrey D. Morgan, Negan, and of course, Stephen Yeun, Mark, who played Glenn. So it was kind of that rematch we all wanted, and in a way, and it was just great. And of course, without a doubt, number 1 is the bridge scene from Zootopia 2. This is definitely one of my favorite scenes ever, probably, because this was like one of my original ships that I really liked from one of my favorite films, the original Zootopia I adore so much. And throughout the events of this film, seeing how eager Judy is to get herself into these not so good situations to try to like be the good guy and uncover the truth, and Nick is more concerned about her than anything really, and seeing them get split up midpoint in the film and them looking like they're both in dangerous situations, they end up saving each other, and then they reunite finally, and they embrace, they're really emotional, and Nick just admits it that he cares for her, and it's they aren't officially a couple, but it's heavily implied what the foreshadow is for what this scene is. And it's just them talking about how much they care about each other, like, and just seeing them say it physically, and just seeing how well done the writing was in both of the performances from Jason Bateman and Jennifer Goodwin. Like, that whole scene and just the beauty of the shot and like where they are, just it's a gorgeous animation, and the music, which I believe was the same music as the gondola scene where Nick first told Judy about his past, and it just everything tied up so well. Like you could just tell there was so much love and effort put into it, and it was just such a tremendous scene, and it had to take the top spot. Again, here is my list and the honorable mentions. What'd you all think? Please let me know down below in the comment section. Did I leave anything out? Would you rank any of this differently? Again, let me know down below. And if you want to hit the bell as well to get notified when I upload, that would mean so much to me. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.